I'm Dan Meyers. This is a demonstration showing how to photograph a three-dimensional object using both a 1 and 2 light setup. What we have here is we've got a nice clean backdrop sweep to set our object up on. It's on a simple table, and the idea here is to just have the paper unrolled so that you get a nice curve in the back and you won't have any particular shadows from the lighting interfering. And one of the more important things to remember when you set your object up is to make sure that you leave yourself as much space between the object and the background as possible so that you can creatively light the work and have maybe an extra light source eventually used to light the backdrop. The next thing to do is going to be to figure out exactly where to place your camera. With three-dimensional objects, camera placement is going to be a little bit more subjective. Because you're the artist, you probably have the best idea of how you want the viewer to see the piece. At least starting, you want to have the camera about level to the middle of the piece. Make sure that if your object is vertical, that you remember to tilt the camera into a vertical position too. So the first thing we want to do is to bring our main light source over to the piece. And you're going to want to position that somewhere relatively close to the camera, but at a much higher angle than your camera height. Let's just show a quick result of not using an umbrella to soften the lighting on your piece. The whole idea with three-dimensional lighting is that you're going to want to create a very pleasing set of shadows. And you can see that just using a single light source with no softening device really creates a complex and distracting set of shadows. The umbrella has given us a nice set of distinct yet soft shadows to work from. It's also giving us a little bit of an area of illumination that's on the sweep of the background, and that's going to help separate the work from the background itself. You may find that the lack of detail on the unlit portion of the piece just doesn't feel correct to you. Using a large piece of foam core is a very simple device to not only slightly lighten the shadows, but you can also see that with a shiny surface such as this, the foam core gives us a nice clean highlight all the way through. With a relatively simple setup, a single light source bounced into an umbrella, utilizing foam core as another bounce surface, that we've got a very workable, very clean shot of the artwork. In the case of you working in your studio, it can be very useful for you to have a friend who's willing to either change the light as you're looking through the camera or to help hold the foam core in place once you get it set up. So many of the light kits that you check out will have 2 or maybe 3 lights in them. So let's look at a possibility of using a second light source in our three-dimensional setup. Second light now can double in the place of the foam core by creating some very nice specular highlights on this side of the piece, as well as giving us nice separation against the background by having a more dominant light source coming in from the back and the side. It's important to remember to take multiple points of view of your sculpture. At this point, you've done all the work with getting the lighting set up. You want to recreate and have the photographs to show what a potential viewer sees if they were to look at your work in a gallery situation.